Leinster.
That was a real pleasure. Thanks very much to Roisin, and I should have mentioned earlier Caroline Grace-Cassidy, the producer. The writer-director was Roisin Kearney, and we'll maybe give Roisin the first word. Maybe many people are aware that the way that the Puttnam Award operates is that there's a theme identified, and that theme has to be kept in it's a subject or a theme that the director has to realize. There's a limited budget. There is one other condition: it must be set on the shot on the Wild Atlantic Way, which that one assuredly was, and it's got a maximum duration of 10 minutes. Within that, the director is free to make what they would like to do. David and Jean were judges of the award that gave the prize last year to Roisin, and they'll be commenting on the realization of the film later. But first, would you like to just say a few words?
Thank you for being here on a gorgeous sunny day, and thank you all very much for the opportunity, because it's hard, making films is hard, and it's incredible to get the opportunity to be able to go out and make something, especially it's a script I wrote quite a long time ago, but it's always been something that I really wanted to bring to a screen, and it was amazing to have the opportunity to do that, so thank you very much, and thank you all for being here.
I should say that the theme for this year's award this was Safe Harbour. And I think nobody could deny that film is beautifully made about Safe Harbour.
It was, I suppose, I'm always interested in the relationships between grandparent and grandchild, and I think there's something very, very special in that you don't get, you know what I mean, parents, we tend to keep things back from our children, but then sometimes I think you're allowed to be more free with your thoughts and words with a grandchild, and also a lot of it is to do with an inherent trauma, like obviously losing someone at a young age. I suppose the backstory to that is that he left his island, he left his language, and the relationship between himself and Stephen was a strain because that loss was ever present. And then when young Tommy came along, he was able to finally forgive himself for what happened, even though he was only a small child at the time. So it's listening, it's hearing people, and both young and old, and I think sometimes we don't do enough of that, we don't listen.
And I think everybody would like to know, how did you persuade Stephen Rea to do it?
A very nice dinner.
Lenny Aberson, I don't know if he's in the room this evening, but he very kindly put us in touch with Stephen, and he obviously just absolutely loved the script, which, it's just a brilliant, brilliant script. So yeah, he really related to it and he loved it, and he was just in from the start, which was obviously mind-blowing for both of us. So yeah, he was amazing.
Just as a matter of interest, what was the shoot in terms of number of days? How many days?
We had one day in September where we did the flashback scenes, and then because Stephen was quite busy, so we had to shoot his scenes in January. So I was like, I don't want to be putting people in the water in January, and so we did one day in September. Then we went back and we did 3 days at the end of January, and then we kind of had 2 half days after that, just with availability. Our young star over there was very, very, very busy, so we were trying to. We were trying to fit around his schedule, which was quite difficult. No, he was fantastic. It was brilliant. So yeah, obviously when you've amazing actors like we had, you have to bend a little bit. So yeah, so it was 1, 3, and then 2 half days.
I might ask one of the 2 judges that read how many dozens of scripts, and this got through, as you again may know, to 4 finalists who had to pitch, and the winner was, in fact, Roisin, but among the judges were Jean Van Silver-in-Law and David Puttnam, after whom the award is called, so I think we'll let him have the first comment.
We have been pushing each other. First of all, it is a moment of unbelievable fraudulence for me every time we present this award, because it is, for whatever reason, it is given the Patsy in my name. It is actually the Bollinger Award, which should be very, very clear, and with the front people, because Judy and Bill are too shy to come and do it. That said, it is a process. It's a very satisfying process, and the film is wonderful. I really promise you, the film is absolutely immaculate. And why is it doubly important, I think? I'm looking at the way the movies industry. I just had lunch with Ed Kearney and Lenny Abrams, talked about the way the industry is evolving. And actually, short films have never been more important. The arrival of short films at festivals is almost the only way you can break through now. There's such a proliferation of the streaming giants. Streaming giants tend to hire people they know. That's why a lot of the material, I have to say, is rather samey. And so for evolving talents coming through, the short film becomes an extraordinary asset. A retirement plan this year, I don't know if you saw it, was stunning. Fortunately, Alex is now a made man. So I think that not only is it a beautiful film, I'd like to think both of you, it's an extraordinary step in your careers. I'm sure of that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Jean?
John, I was going to say that obviously to judge anything is very humbling when you see fantastic work done by such creative people, but unfortunately you always have to choose one, and there were a few judges on this, and we all agreed that we were really, really turned on by the script. And when I look back at it, because in the last week or so, obviously I've seen the film, and even watching it now for the third time, I think certainly in the last week, there are two moments at least that I there's a lump in my throat and I kind of go, Jean, don't start crying, this is ridiculous. But it is really, really poignant in places, and it touches so much, as you said, on the intergenerational relationships. The fact that a child is very dependent on, let's say, a middle generation, and older people are dependent on the middle generation. And I know that was very much part of, and because I look back on the pitching notes, the movie back then was called Forget Me Not, and it evolved into Eist, which is beautiful. Think about it. We need to stop and listen more. And I had the privilege on Thursday of attending the short films Oscuelga Ilon Clara, and going over in the boat with our hoods up, and it was raining and really driocht, as they say, and a person sat down beside me and I took a look, and it was Roisin said hi, and I with this hood, I went, oh Roisin. So we had the joy of arriving on Cape Clear talking about the film. And you might just take us through the process, because you spoke a lot about your process with actors, and also the fact that mental, not mental, but challenges, older people and dementia and so on, and the fact that Stephen Rea's character came to life when he was no longer in a home.
Yeah, it's I suppose it's an area of kind of being around my sisters here in the audience. She works with Alec as well, so we have a lot of experience with that. And also my mother-in-law was in nursing care for 20 years, so I had an awful lot of experience in and around that area. And you see the difficulty of it and the pain of it for people who are losing someone slowly, because that's what it is. And I know certainly with my own children, when they were in and out, they didn't really see any, because that was all they knew. They didn't know her before she got sick. And it always fascinated me how it didn't matter to them. They didn't care. They just wanted to be there and crawl, and they were scared sometimes, and they were happy sometimes and sad. But Emily is kind of after my daughter Emily, and she used to always crawl up the bed and give her a kiss, and it was something that I thought was wonderful, because it was absolute acceptance. And I think that's something that children have that maybe we lose a little bit, and we're all so busy and we all find things so hard. So that was, I suppose, the reason it was written in the first place, and along with the idea of the inherent trauma and early childhood loss, and how that can stilt you emotionally and cause difficulties in connections as time goes on. And then that reconnection, the bravery of the grandson and going, knowing what's right, just this is the right thing to do, and not worrying about the consequences so much. But working with all three of them, Aaron, Stephen, I have to say I was a little bit intimidated. For day one, walking into Stephen Rea, lying in a bed, and I'm like, but he was instantaneously, he was like, you tell me, where do you want this pitched, and this line, and how is this, and what, we were talking about the little Isabel's character says, we're going to the beach, and I was like, when you hear Isabel's character say beach, that's what brings you back. And he was like, oh, that makes, you know what I mean? Really generous and really open. And the same with Louis, don't have to do much for Louis, just knocks it out of the park. But with Louis and Aaron as well, were just absolutely stunning. They were just absolutely brilliant.
I'm going to give a little shout out to those from the Sheep's Head Peninsula who featured. I wonder, are they here?
Eleanor and Finn, are you here?
Yay! And the beautiful Trorum that featured,
And that was one of the that was so exciting to do, because I know poor Finn, he was like, oh yeah, the pier's great, yeah. And so you'll be the yeah. And then Eleanor was quite happy coming in and out, and it's like, so would you mind playing a part for us?
We had so much help though from the community,
everyone.
it was just from Finn to Kieran. I don't know if Kieran's here, but anyone that we actually ended up.
Holidays.
Oh, he's on his holidays.
Yeah.
We were down for the recce, and we actually nearly ran over this man on the road, Kieran, who ended up just helping us so much with production. He got us the boys and helped us with the pier stuff, and Finn the exact same. So we would have been absolutely lost if it wasn't for the local community being able to say, this is the right place to go, or that's the right place to do, so they were all brilliant. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. And your jumper in the car, by the way. I go back.
Would you say a word about the Irish language and how you dealt with that? And also, big question, obviously, Stephen's Irish.
Stephen is fluent, but he is he'd be Ulster Irish. So, well, Ulster and a little bit of Dublin, because he learned it when he was in the Abbey a lot as well, so between the two. So he was really conscious of making sure it was right. And there's words that only are used on Clara. So we had people from Clara who went through the full script. Then Rory, who's over there, he went through it and spoke to people who would, from the Gaeltacht there, who would have been of the same age in the 50s, when Stephen. So it's as close as it can be. And then Pater Cox came down, so he spent time on. So he worked with Stephen on that. And my Irish wouldn't be great, but one of the reasons is that because I know you don't see it in the film, but backstory is he would have spoken Irish as a child fluently, but part of him running away from the island was he never gave the Irish to Stephen. So Stephen not only doesn't understand Stephen the character.
So it was
Aaron Monaghan, the father. So the idea is that he left his language behind when he ran away. So Stephen, I'll just say Aaron, it's easier. There's a lot of Stephens in this. And so Aaron didn't have the language, but he had sent his child to a Gael school. So Louis' character in today's world speaks Book Irish, what they call Book Irish. But Stephen Rea character speaks native Irish, and very specifically from Clara. So I know it gets a lot of backstory. It makes perfect sense to me.
I was only going to ask about the challenge of making a 10-minute film from that script.
Yes. Yes, I'll just say yes. It was, there was a lot of cutting. A lot of cutting. So, and it was really hard. There was different things, you'll know from the script, there was there was a slightly different in the ending bit. But when we got down to shoot the second section on the beach, we actually couldn't go anywhere near the water. It was too dangerous. So that was going to be a no-no. So it would have been 45 minutes if we'd gotten that bit. But it was hard. It was really hard to cut, and it's really hard to cut when the performances are as good as they are. It's really you're just like cutting them away. And Eleanor Bowman is sitting in here, and Alex, two of our crew, and many other, a lot of local people. But I think we can all agree how beautifully shot it is, and that's.
Is Eleanor here?
She is. Where are you, Eleanor?
Terrific job. Can we get a round of applause? And Alex O'Brien did the sound as well. And there's so many. There's a lot of crew here as well. We're a lot of local crew and a lot of people around. And honestly, it was just heaven to be around them. Do you know what I mean? I cannot explain the absolute joy of being around those people for the days, I think whatever difficulties you may have had, with the timing and that, you did a remarkable job on how decisively it's edited. It moves so well, and the flashbacks, the conflation of flashbacks and present. It's just really.
Yeah. Phil Shanahan did the edit on it, who was great down in Limerick, which he edited previously on Paddy on another short that I made, and has been around, but he was fantastic. He's a great editor. He's really, really lovely to work with. And then the music, I have to mention Joe as well. I don't know if all the music is original, and it was written by Joe Conlon, which is, I love it. I just think it adds so much. We had a lot of chats about it and how it was going to work, and he's really incredible.
Do both Jean and David, do you both feel, having read and judged the script, that what Roisin has done, realised the script as you saw it and as you judged it?
Well, there's at least two things that I think Roisin added that I don't think they were in the script, but I don't remember if they were. I don't remember. There's a lovely moment for me when the conspiracy between the two kids and they bump hands, and you kind of recognise that. Oh my goodness me! And so I think the idea of children conspiring to do something that's great is right. And the other one was my takeaway was how easy it is for adults to misunderstand the way that young people use social media. That we constantly assume that it's destructive or negative, and then you have a situation which proves the exact opposite. I'm not sure I got that from the script first time around.
That was the exact point, David, I was going to make. I didn't anticipate that in the script at all, and I just thought, bully for you, do not misjudge, what the youngsters are doing.
That was actually, honestly, it was the reason. I don't know, it mightn't have come out in the script, but the reason that my eldest lad, Killian, when he was quite young, I was sitting there watching a documentary. You're sitting there watching a documentary, and he was there sitting on an iPad, and I was kind of getting annoyed with him because I was like, "This is a fantastic documentary, watch it," and he's like, and there he was anyway. And then after it was finished, he turned. So even though he was on the iPad, he was able to absorb what was coming off, and he asked me a load of questions about the documentary, and I was like, more for me, for not, you know what I mean, that he was able to do both things, and they do learn in a different way than maybe we learned, and he was doing both things relatively successfully at the same time, so it's something that I all.
You know what, Roisin, what's really fine filmmaking is to get that subtext across in the amount of time you had is remarkable, because I can well imagine making that kind of sub-theme for a movie, but then you need time. You've actually managed to convey it in 20 seconds. I mean, it's extraordinary.
I recall, David, a presentation you made at one point, probably in UCC, and you spoke about the many challenges in filmmaking, but one of them is to, cut the words, cut, reduce the script as much as you possibly can, and to convey as much as you can in the look or just the movement, and to be as economical as you possibly can with the dialogue. And I think this is quite economical with the dialogue.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of acting with no words. I'm a big fan of television.
That's why the hand bump is brilliant, because it tells you, in 2 seconds, it tells you about their relationship.
Looks and glances, they just work so well. We were going to.
And Harvey's down there as well. I have to have a little shout out to Harvey, who's our young Stephen Rea, which I thought was absolutely amazing.
Well done.
So,
Well done.
little diddy, as we used to call him, little diddy.
So we, if you have questions, this will be a time. We have a roving mic, and there's one here.
Congratulations, Roisin. I remember speaking to you straight after you pitched live and said you were my favourite.
I remember.
Yes,
Thank you.
yeah, fantastic. Love the film. I just want to say, was your initial feeling, I can make 3 films out of this money?
It kind of.
No.
Ask the producer. It was, in all fairness, it wasn't like a relatively complex. So it was, it wasn't a film that you know, the way there's a lot of sort of 10 grand, it wasn't something you wouldn't, everything was needed, really. Because obviously you're coming to West Cork and you've people and accommodation and food, and they were very well fed. Everyone's still raving about the soup. So, but and with that number of locations, you know what I mean, it does make it that little bit more difficult. And days, like we did have, if you're doing 3 days in one location, it would be very easy. But when you're doing that little bit extra in a number of locations, it makes her job very, very, very difficult.
Do you work together a lot?
Yeah.
We write together as well and direct together as well. So we've done a lot.
This is our third film together, yeah.
And you're still great friends.
But you know what, it isn't a really important question, actually, because obviously, we are really, really good friends, and making films has its challenges, so, you do have to be sort of very careful and very trusting, I suppose, in who you get into collaborations with, that, because I've seen it happen a lot where it doesn't end greatly. So, we were very conscious of doing the work and then forgetting about the work, just going back to being pals and having a pint and not talking about it. So, but yeah, it's definitely, she's amazing to collaborate, she's such a positive, clever, smart, beautiful woman, and who wouldn't want to collaborate with her?
We've known each other quite a long time, so we're very used
And you have to return the compliment.
I had, that's what I was saying back at you, my darling. But yeah, no, our very early jobs in theatre, we worked together, so we've actually worked together for a very long time, really, with the different gaps between. But it's worked.
And then children come along and all that, so you're breaking and you're going back and you're taking breaks and you're going back.
Yeah.
So.
And I have to say, we've a very strong team of women, particularly, which are fantastic, and they're all sitting down there, and I appreciate everything that you do. I really do. So thank you.
Anybody else like to ask?
Carol.
Hearty congratulations. I think this film is just suffused with your humanity, Roisin.
Thank you, Carol.
And that means it's a very rich film. And I'm wondering, when you say about the 10 minutes that was the absolute given parameter here, is this part of a bigger story you still want to tell?
Yeah, no, it's a huge, I'm always very, I talk about backstory, and the reason all those characters are very real to me, and I have a tendency, I'm really interested in the psychology of character and why they are the way they are, why they act the way they are, and how that impacts the people that they love, particularly. I think so I always have an awful lot, I have a lot of backstory all the time, and then it's trying to find the best way of realising that, so in a way that people can recognise, because we all want to see ourselves in some way, or maybe understand something that we didn't understand before. But yeah, no, it is part of a bigger idea, and which I am pegging away at. So yeah, no,
we should also remember, in case I forget, Caroline Grace-Cassidy is also the other producer from Dublin Films, who isn't here today, but forget to not a mention as well.
Yeah, she's married to him, so.
That question that Carmel asked is a really good one. I mean, and it's great to know that you're thinking in longer form, and you have a terrific passport. If you have this film, and nobody better than David to know this. I mean, remember, was it Whiplash that?
Oh, I love
He
Whiplash.
made a 9-minute short,
Yeah.
and when they saw it, yes. Just totally, and you have something there.
Yeah.
Just,
There's enough, and I think even for those three generations, and in grandfather, son, and grandson, I think are just really, really interesting place to be, and part that trauma and the dynamics, and it's a lot to do with us as an island and Ireland, and valuing the language and valuing the poetry of it, and so there's a lot of things that, like that stoic silence that so many have. And there was a lot of stuff around the RNLI which kind of got cut back, and because the idea is he spent his life working with the RNLI, and there was a lot, obviously for the time, like that was pulled back. But I often think about the volunteers, and I know a lot of people who have volunteered, and what they've been through and how they hold themselves even in times, and they're everyday people. And I have a huge amount of respect for the work that they do, and in quietness in the background. And there's a lot of people out there that just do wonderful things without making anything of it, and I think that's something that I'm really interested in as well. I like exploring how good humans can be and are, and I think that's something that we forget. There's a lot of really good people out there, and really giving.
I just think that one honest piece of advice is stick together, because you've got a piece of work here, and there will be people, I know some of them, who will attempt to peel you apart. They'll be thrilled to bits with what you achieve with the money, honestly. And someone will say, well, she really knows how to have, she knows how to handle actors, she knows what she's doing, why doesn't she do Call the Midwife, Series 7? And those pressures can drive a wedge. So if you really, really feel strongly about what you want to do with this, stay with it. Because other people from the outside will find that quite inconvenient. They'd like you doing what they'd like you to do. And that can be as a sort of pressure, and it takes a lot of determination of guts. Actually say, no, we're doing this.
Yeah, thanks, David. That's really nice.
Thank you. Yeah. It is. It's hard, and I think all the filmmakers, like any filmmakers here, it's hard to keep, financially keep going, to pay the bills, to do this, that, and the other, and you have to be in love with it, or you would never do it. Like, you would never do it otherwise. And I think, and even like, with Eleanor and Finn and all the other people there, and the parents of the kids who are in it, what they bring and give as well is like immeasurable. Like Kieran, who's away on holidays, poor Kieran, he was going to check on his bees when we nearly ran him over, and ended up like doing incredible work. You know what I mean? Bringing so much together, and I think that's the community is what makes it. That's what makes it really exciting and makes you want to do.
Yeah, and also myself and Dave were talking about how much luck needs to be involved in this business, and it's true, and even from something as ridiculous as us almost running over Kieran, his wife happened to work in the nursing home in Schull, which we then got to shoot in, so, but there's all these little things along the way that without, it's very hard.
It is good. That's it. Like, it's literally the film. It's good people doing good things. It's.
Lenny and I just had lunch. We were talking about how totally irrational our careers have been. There's no thread. There's no moment you say, oh yeah, well that led to that, that led to that. It doesn't work that way. It's failure after failure after failure, and then something amazing happens, and and people think you're very smart. In fact, you're the same person that had all those failures.
And that's the other thing. I see Jan is sitting there. Jan was first AD and she's sitting there with her two beautiful babies, and Eleanor has her two little beautiful babies down there, and various other people. And that was one of the things that was really important as well, to keep that open, because it's so hard. Like, my youngest is now 18, and similar to Caroline's kids, it's so hard to keep going, especially when you have caring responsibilities. So that was something that was really important, and it was so amazing to have amazing mammies around.
Lovely.
Anybody have a last question before we move on? So many people associated with film in the audience that they know all the answers. I just would like to thank Roisin and Caroline and of course David and Jean, and also especially to thank Bill and Judy Bollinger for their incredible generosity in funding this really important Puttnam Prize. It's just wonderful to be here on the third, as I said earlier, iteration. The first was in 1921, and interestingly enough, the theme was, if you recall at the time, the theme was the new normal, and the film, reflected that. Yeah, the second was 2 years later. The way it works is the competition is held in 1 year, and it is then made the following year and screened that year. So it's kind of every second year we get the pleasure of seeing the realized version of the winning entry. And the second one was called Lights, Camera, Lights, Action. And this one was called, as we said earlier, Safe Harbour. And what a beautiful safe harbour it was. So well done again.
And I just want to say thank you to all, thank you Jean, and thank you to you, David, as well, and the Bollingers, and Hilary and Tom and the whole team, because they've been incredible. They've absolutely been incredible with the support right the way through, and it means so much.
Well, Hilary and Tom would like you to know that, and we're delighted to be able to say this, that the Puttnam Award later this year will be open again for entries, and the prize money has been increased from 25,000 to 30,000.
Wow. That's incredible. Wow.
So we make 3 films for that?
I'll be back
Can we
there.
give this one back and go again?
Thank you all very much.